Hello everyone! Today we're gonna review the Gamesir T4 Mini, a controller that focuses on having a smaller form factor. This item was sent to me by Banggood, and I'll leave the links in the description so you can buy it at a discounted price. In the packaging, you will receive a USB Type-C cable, the manual, and the controller. The T4 Mini has a USB Type-C port for charging, which is a plus. In the middle you have a turbo button. It's a little bit strange though if you are used to the Pro controller, because in this model you don't have the handles to hold. It's more in line with the 8-bit to Super Nintendo controllers. And on the T4 Mini you don't have back buttons. And when turned on, you can see RGB lights on the analog sticks, and the buttons light up too. The first thing I noticed with its controller is that the D-pad doesn't have the center pivot, meaning that if you press it in the middle, it will fall down and press all of the directions at once. And the face buttons have a short travel distance too. So the first thing I tested was the D-pad, and in this controller it passes my test. You can easily input diagonals by rocking your finger in one of the 4 directions. If you press it in the center, all of the directions will be pressed. And in this case here, the up direction will be permanently turned on. Then I tested the motion controls with Super Mario Odyssey, and the motion controls is working okay here too. As most of the third-party controllers, it also failed in the analog test, meaning that the analog sticks will snap on the X and Y axis. And here's the turbo function. Press and hold the T button and press the desired button to activate it. You can also increase the speed of the turbo by holding the T button and pressing the plus button. To decrease the speed, do the same combination with the minus button instead. And to activate the permanent turbo function, you have to repeat the turbo combo on a button that has already been registered. You can also enable turbo for many different buttons at once. And to clear all turbo configurations, hold down the T button for a few seconds. To change the rumble intensity, hold down the T button and press up or down on the D-pad. And by holding the T button and pressing on the analog sticks, we'll cycle through the different colors. You can double tap to change to a breathing mode. Double tap again to enable the breathing mode, but in the rainbow color. And double tap again to disable the lights. Aside from the switch, the T4 Mini can also be connected to your Android phone or iOS. Press and hold the home button and the X button to activate the pairing mode. However, I noticed something while testing. The button layout is still the Switch layout, meaning that the A, B, X and Y buttons are reversed. And I tested the different pairing mode too, holding the Home and B button. This time it shows up as an Xbox controller. However, even in this mode, the button layout is still reversed. You can always change it in the game you're playing, but it should work out of the box, since that many Android games uses the Xbox layout. When playing on your computer, you can change through D input and X input by pressing and holding the plus and minus buttons for a few seconds. And let's move on to a teardown now. This time the foam protecting the battery is glued very tightly, and I don't want to heat it up or damage it, but in the back of the controller it already tells you the battery capacity, which is 600 milliamps. Moving on to the detailed pictures, here you have the rumble motor and the D-pad contacts. The analog stick has a solid build, like the Nixie Joy-Cons. The Bluetooth antenna is located on the top, close to the L button. And here's how they are achieved the glowing face buttons. The button contacts are a little bit apart from each other, and in the center you have the LED that lights up. You don't have to worry about the LEDs though, because in the rubber membranes there is a hole in the middle, meaning that no matter how hard you press on the buttons, it won't damage the LEDs. Here is the D-pad and the rubber membranes, and the funny thing is that there is a pivot here, but it's not long enough to stop the button from sinking in the center. And here's my final thoughts. The T4 Mini works well in its purpose as a small portable controller. The functionality outside of the Switch makes this a controller that you can carry with you wherever you go. However, as most third-party controllers, there are tiny flaws that might annoy some players. As I was reviewing it, I couldn't stop thinking about the similarities with the Nixie Joy-Cons, and although it's not mentioned in the manual, this controller has a firmware update mode, which is triggered with the same combination as the Nixie Joy-Cons, by holding the analog stick and plugging it in on your computer. And I tested by firing up the Nixie update software, and the update button even lit up. However, as expected, the software did not recognize the hardware and it aborted the installation. I've reached out for Gamesir and sadly they couldn't provide a firmware update. I'm sure that the analog sticks problem could easily be solved with an update, like the Elitist S controller that I reviewed previously here. I'll be posting a follow-up if Gamesir ever released a firmware for this controller in the future. I'd like to know what's your opinion on these flaws. Is the snappy analog sticks or the D-pad without the pivot in the center something that is a real deal breaker for you? Or you don't mind these problems at all when buying a new controller? Leave your opinion in the comments, and thank you for watching this review. If you aren't subscribed yet to my channel, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you next time.